Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin soul channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the full moon in Leo of 2022 occurring on February 16th at 11:56 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. This full moon takes place at the 27th degree of Aquarius with Sun standing opposite, sandwiched between our friends Jupiter and Saturn here. This particular energy is facilitating a lot of tension for this particular full moon in the way that it does represent a culmination, but this culmination is really about choice and choices and how we go about the business of choosing to love ourselves and create the things we want to create in our lives in the face of where we've been and the challenges facing us where we're headed. The unique thing about this full moon is that it's almost relatively unaspected by any major energies in close orb. The only thing that is super close to this particular new moon by degree is a hard square to the nodes. We can see North Node at 26 degrees Taurus, South Node at 26 degrees Scorpio. And when we have any planet squaring the nodes, we have the moon here at the 27th degree. You have any planet squaring the nodes, it does represent a choice point. And the choice point becomes about, in its simplest terms, are we going to continue to operate in our South Node energies, things we need to leave behind? Or are we going to operate in our North Node energies, things we are ready to step into? With this kind of energy occurring at this full moon, what's indicated is a need to prepare ourselves to let go of the past hand. And that's only further indicated by a very loose, yet still there, yod to the moon. The yod is an astrological aspect, which is characterized for those of my star school students who are curious and students of astrology who are interested. It's characterized by an apex planet, and that in this case is this full moon down here in creative and self-loving Leo, and the inconjunct planets to it. And that would be planetary influence Pluto in conjunct Moon and planetary influence Neptune in conjunct Moon. When you have a planetary influence in conjunct to the apex planet, what it means is that that apex planet and those two planetary energies don't work well together. The inconjunction is an aspect that can create tension. It can create non-smooth energy, non-smooth sailing. And the breakdown happens to be between our sense of power and our needs, that's Pluto and Moon, and our sense of spirituality, that's Neptune, and our needs. So what's a light worker, high vibing light worker to do? How do we get out of this tension? As you know, we just came off of a Mercury retrograde, which would have put concentrated attention and energy on Plutonian aspects of our lives, since Mercury consciousness was speaking to Pluto, our fears, things we'd like to keep hidden, shame, debt, our shadow selves. Lots of conscious attention, energy, aware of those aspects of ourselves in the last 3 weeks with the Mercury retrograde. And now we also have completed the Venus retrograde, and Venus is not done with Pluto yet, but she too had her time dancing with Pluto in the beginning of December and will dance again at the end of this month with Pluto. And this brought the concentration of challenges in the area of love and money to the forefront during the month of December and early January. Because Pluto's had these deep, intense conversations at the same time, December and January, with love and communication, consciousness, and money, bringing forward all of our fears. Now, the sense of our power is restored to us with all of the planets now moving direct, all of the energies now moving forward. Under the light of this full moon, we get the opportunity to see, based on the depth of our shadow, the pain of where we've been, and that which we'd like to see transformed in our lives. Based on that, what choices can we make, moon square nodes, in order to get there? And that's the vibration of this full moon in Leo. It asks us, how can we, as an act of self-love, Leo is the sign of self-love. It's the sign of self-preservation. It is the sign of creativity. How can we, as an act of self-love, creatively begin to confront that which has haunted us from our past, so that we're able to have a more fulfilling life in our future? Notice that which we're meant to leave behind is represented by the South Node. That's all in Scorpio. Leaving behind our fears, our traumas, leaving behind the stories that have haunted us about our shadow, and stepping into, that's North Node, where we're all headed at this juncture. That which preserves life for us, that which allows us to feel more fully ourselves, like who we are is worth it and worthy and worthwhile here on the planet. That's North Node Taurus. At this particular juncture, coming off the heels of the Venus and Mercury retrograde, speaking so heavily with Pluto, we are confronted with the choices that must be made in order to allow ourselves to put on our own oxygen mask, as they say on the airplanes when they're giving the safety speech at the beginning of the flight, put on our own oxygen mask first. We are gifted the opportunity to look, how creatively can we move beyond the pain that has limited us in our past, and step into the self-love that we need in order to thrive in 2022. This full moon asks us, are you willing to leave it behind so that you can have more life? The interesting thing about this is that our power doesn't really get hitched up to our emotional needs and our ability to do that until we get our power in conversation with our spiritual truths and reality. And that's Neptune. The sextile between Neptune and Pluto is what really allows us to make the appropriate choices. And so we have this Neptune energy out here in Pisces, and this Neptune and Pisces energy in conjunct this moon is making it difficult for us to ground into and be clear about what it is we need while still walking that higher spiritual path. It's the equivalent of feeling like, God, the fates, call it what you will, the universe has tasked you with being all love and light, and then recognizing, but my bills are due and this is hard. I still got to be all love and light, but so-and-so hurt me and I cannot figure out how to let them back in. But I want to be all love and light, yet still I can't meditate when I am hungry or when I haven't had any of my needs met in a long time. How can I be good to others when it's been so hard for me to maintain being good to myself? That's the inconjunct between Neptune in Pisces and full moon in Leo. The only way to access that is if we hitch Pluto to Neptune and we bring the lessons of our pain and the lessons about where we have been diminished in power into the conversation and start the process of creating Saturn opposite moon appropriate boundaries, appropriate structure. We can be love and light, but it's not appropriate to share the totality of ourselves every time, everywhere, with everyone, when we ourselves have not put our own oxygen mask on first. When we ourselves are hungry, we cannot give food to another person's plate when our own plate has been empty. And so this full moon in Leo really talks about the necessity of choosing yourself first. It talks about the necessity of learning from the pain of your past so that you can utilize good boundaries to protect your ability to live in love and live in light. It's impossible to live in that place with poor boundaries, with poor structure, when we expose ourselves, re-expose ourselves to this very same influences and patterns that took us down to begin with. Whether that pattern be something that was self-created, as a reaction to pain, like an addiction, or self-created, just simply out of being unwilling to step forward because of fear, or whether that pain was brought to us by somebody else and their own recklessness and their own behavior or difficulties in learning their own lessons. In either case, there's a line in the sand with this full moon in Leo. This full moon in Leo demands that if we want to maintain and preserve our level of spiritual advancement, spiritual attunement, that there are just certain influences, certain behaviors, certain patterns that we can no longer afford to engage in if we want to really walk the talk of being self-loving and having enough love within us to share with other people. So that's this full moon in Leo. Look for the energies in your own life around influences kind of popping up and wanting to be in your world and revisit certain things with you now that Mercury and Venus are moving forward. Look for these patterns from the past to pop up and, hey, want to go for a walk on the wild side with this aspect of your shadow that you thought you'd gotten rid of? Come on, it'll be fun. Just take another hit. It'll be great. That kind of stuff is going to be here for us at this full moon in Leo. And the question becomes, what can you create structures and boundaries around as an act of self-love and self-preservation so that you're able to maintain your high vibration, so that you're able to maintain your connection to spirit and source? That's going to be the work of this full moon. And it won't be easy. Yods and conjuncts, they are never easy. They always constitute a choice. This is not a both and moment. It's an either or moment. And what we choose is really going to be indicative of the way we're going to be spending a lot of our time this year. It's no accident that the nodes are in fixed signs. Fixed signs are important to remember. We're going to talk about the energy of fixed signs momentarily, and that the moon is in a fixed sign. Fixed signs are modes. We have 3 modes of the zodiac: cardinal, mutable, and fixed. And the modes represent how we respond to what life brings us. Okay. Cardinal signs are the energy of taking initiative in the face of what life brings us. Life brings us lemons. Let's initiate making an entire lemonade business. Life brings us lemons for a fixed sign. Fixed signs are about sustaining the status quo, maintaining continuity, building protections and structures around that which is so that it cannot be changed or destroyed. With a fixed sign, the life brings us lemons. We're like, great, let's continue to make sure that these lemons stay fresh for as long as humanly possible. Mutable energies. Mutable energies are the energies of transformation and shift. It takes us from one thing to another thing. Life brings mutable signs and lemons. Mutable energies will say, oh, okay, well, if it's a lemon, let's see if I can turn it into an orange, or let's see if I can turn it into a pizza. If lemons can go on pizza, let's see if I can, what else I can make it other than something that is just a lemon. And so the interesting thing about this, and the important thing to remember, is that we're dealing with heavy duty fixed energy here. Fixed signs want to preserve things as is. And the choices that we make at a full moon like this have the opportunity to lock in an energy that moves forward that we're going to be dealing with over the totality of this year. So take your time in thinking through, feeling through that which you have learned up until this point. If you're a journaler, journal about it. If you need someone to just listen to you talk, ask for a friend to hold some space. If you're the kind of person that kind of moves and clears your pictures and your pain through meditation, do that. Through exercise or movement, do that. Find your clarity, whichever way you can access it. But what you're looking to access is clarity and information about what was it that ate me up in December and November and January, if anything. What was it that really came to surface about my shadow and the way I respond to other people's shadow? And what is it that I need to create boundaries around now so that I'm going to be able to maintain my high vibration, maintain a full cup so that I have enough to share with other people when appropriate, and maintain my connection to spirit? Because otherwise, the challenge of this year with the South Node transiting through Scorpio is that we have the potential to just get dragged by our shadow, by other people's shadow, and have no way of evolving into the light and life preservation mode, which is Taurus, if we continue to leave the door wide open for our shadow or other people's shadow to jump right on in there and have its way with us. So it's important to understand, what lessons did you learn? Come to consciousness. And that's what this Mercury retrograde conjunct Pluto was meant to bring us in these last 3 weeks. Conscious awareness about what in our shadow has been getting in our way. For my star schoolers, you really want to be paying attention to the house that Capricorn governs in your chart, because that's the house where the work is. You can find that in your workbook, Star School 101. We talked all about the houses and what each house represented. This is where the action has been. And so, what you want to do is begin the process of taking a look for that house and the lessons you learned in that house in the last 90 days. Okay. Because this year is going to repeat our need to learn how to let go of our shadow, South Node Scorpio, and stand in our light, North Node Taurus. And this full moon in Leo represents a starting point. The more we can start to get out of our shadow, the more we're going to feel like we can breathe in 2022. So that's didn't mean to stop sharing screen. I meant to take away the annotations. There we go. That's the main energy there. If you've heard something that resonates for you, or it sparks inspiration or clarity for you, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and subscribe. I'm here at the new and full moon. If you're new, subscribing and hitting that notification bell will let you know the minute I post, so that you're able to get access to this information as soon as it's fresh. Secondly, if you heard something that resonates for you, hit that like button. Helps the content circulate. Let's get into the other energies at this lunation. We've got Mars Venus conjunct there, and that Mars Venus conjunct right up here at 16 degrees Capricorn is giving us that vibration of passion, motivation, energy to make something happen. You notice that they are in Earth sign Capricorn. It's about making it happen in the third dimension, doing a new thing, starting a new habit. Create some new action, some new momentum, some new velocity. It is a quite passionate energy. Venus and Mars, when they get together, they tend to constitute a lot of, in plain speak, sexy time. So if there is, as we're walking into this Valentine's Day, for those who celebrate it, an opportunity to have some little sexy time with a loved one or with self, that is always appropriate, then by all means do it. Enjoy yourself, live it up, use the energy of your sensuality and sexuality, again, referring to the nodes. Taurus, where the North Node sits, is our sensuality. Scorpio, where the South Node sits, is our sexuality. Utilize your own life force energy within your second chakra to begin the path of creation. Create a new way forward, create new energy, create new patterns, create new visions and new vistas for where you can go. And by all means, for those of you who know how to use your own sensual and sexual magic for life force creation, do it. We also have Uranus speaking in harmony to that Mars Venus, and that can create a little bit of chemistry, a lot of bit of surprise, where chemistry can kind of come out of nowhere, sweep you off your feet in the love department. And again, in the third dimension, where you could just meet somebody out and about, going about your life under the light of this full moon, and that person can truly it can truly spark a connection that you didn't see coming, you weren't prepared for. So if you are certainly looking to meet someone, this is a great and auspicious time in which to do it, especially with all planets direct. It's a wonderful time to go on first dates, do second dates with people, and move things forward in the realm of relationship if that's something you want. Also, I would like to just throw out a little caution here. This Venus, Mars, and Uranus configuration under the light of this full moon in Leo. Leo can represent children. This, for some people, is going to constitute a very fertile time. So, if you are not trying to conceive, just be very mindful of that. And if you are trying to conceive, then by all means, the astrology certainly has your back during this full moon. Okay. We've also got this energy of a square to Chiron from that Venus and Mars. And so, even though these surprises are happening and this motivational, highly chemical, connecting energy is in the air in the third dimension that wants to have a lot of momentum and move a lot of things forward, this piece of Chiron in the mix does it can have us move forward with just a little bit of trepidation. It can have us move forward with a little bit of self-consciousness, a little bit of unnerving about our self-esteem. Unfortunately, the Chironic energy, because it's a square, can also bring some of the shadow side of Chiron and Aries forward, which can be a little bit of shame or self-doubt. And squaring Venus and Mars, it can have us running from those aspects of ourself that I just mentioned. In addition, though, it can also have us wondering about our good enoughness when it comes to creating in the world of our ambitions. Aries, where Chiron sits, is the sign that does govern ambition and motivation. Mars, its ruling planet, is sitting with Venus here in the sign of structure and putting structure to our goals. That's Capricorn. So there can be a little bit of like, I don't know if I'm good enough, kind of like waffling, hesitational energy, or just straight up running from your dreams and your goals or that which you want to create, running in the opposite direction. I'm telling you now, do not run. The function of the Chiron speaking to this after we've had the Venus and Mercury conjunction to Pluto is to surface those things so that we can begin the process of proving to ourselves that even though we might feel that way, there's still enough fire, passion, and motivation within us to move forward in spite of those concerns about our enoughness, in spite of those wounds that we have suffered in the past, to show us that we can, even though the fear is there, we can dance anyway. We can move forward anyway. And we're going to feel especially empowered and at the new moon period of time as both Venus and Mars move forward and speak to Pluto very shortly here. So this empowerment energy is a theme that's going to continue as we move forward. The thing to do with the Chiron energy, should it come up, this questioning, this self-doubt, this, but my past, it's been so rough, I've been through so much. The thing to do with that Chiron energy is instead to go, yes, I have. And I can still create new boundaries, and I can still reach for my dreams. And I know what I need to do now in order to be able to facilitate my connection to spirit and love myself the way that I know I deserve to be loved. That's the gifting of this Chiron energy here. Those who are kind of not in their mastery, you will see some people kind of running or shying away from potential and possibility and where the energy and the momentum is drawing them. You will see some people running, but now that you know, you don't have to do that to yourself. Okay. So this is an opportunity to heal insecurities. I got that part. About the things we're motivated and passionate about. And it gives us, in a couple weeks' time, as that Venus and Mars talk to Pluto, we will get a boost or a dose of courage to really take on a new path forward and confront those aspects of our shadow that we've let hold us back. But this energy will build between the full moon in Leo and the next new moon. So just be prepared and be ready to continue to take positive action forward, especially with all of the planetary energies in forward motion. We've got huge potential here for something awesome to happen. We've also got Jupiter sextile Uranus, and this too works in our favor. With Jupiter sextiling Uranus, it's possibility of positive surprise, positive, being greeted by positive potential. When this is the energy of things that can go right, absolutely going right, if we're willing to take that Uranian risk, step out on faith, move in a new direction. Jupiter and Pisces speaking in harmony to Uranus and Taurus brings us blessing upon blessing, but those blessings are only accessible in a sextile if we take the first step, if we make the first move, if we are willing to not just sit and wait for the blessing to come, but if we're willing to take the reins and let the universe know, I'm ready, bless me. Okay. That's the energy there. And that's the energy of this full moon in Leo. It is a supremely positive period of time. And if you're struggling at this point, what I'm going to invite you to do, if you haven't already taken a look at my calendar for us to have a little chit chat, we can take a look at what's going on in your chart that may be causing some of the problems. You can book with me over at K-Moon Astro. Link is also just below this video if you need it. I've got time available before we close the month of February and just at the beginning of March. So that's only 14 days away. And we also can have a look at how this nodal influence, North Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio, is playing a role in keeping you locked into shadow energies. So we can start to map out what are the things that we need or you need in order to begin the process of feeling less in the shadow, Scorpio energy, and more in the light, Taurus energy. Again, you can book with me over at kmoonastro.com. And for those of you who are waiting on your 2-question mini readings, just know that I have your orders. I'm working on the last few of them in the next 7 days, and you should receive them in your inbox shortly. One last thing that I want to share before I close out, at the very end of this month, I have lined up a special online event here on YouTube. It is completely free, called Shadow Work Week. And during Shadow Work Week, every day that week, I'm going to be hosting a live interview here on YouTube with a special guest who's going to talk about different aspects of the shadow. And I'm super pumped to be able to share this with you because this year, with the South Node transiting Scorpio, we will be asked to confront some of those deeper, shadowy aspects of ourselves in order to transmute them and stand in our power, stand in our light, North Node Taurus. It's a theme all year long. So I'm kicking it off with this special event, February 21st through the 28th. I'll be publishing a full calendar of all of the interviews next week. But some of the special interviews include Made for Love. Some of you know her channel. She's going to be talking about the shadow work of the third party when it comes to twin flame and soulmate connections. We've got Charlotte of Happy Twins 1111. She's going to be talking about using tarot to understand your shadow and transmuting the shadow. I've got Dawn, who many of you listened to this past week. She's going to be talking about sexual shadow work and how to overcome things like sexual shame and so many more. I'm really excited to host this event, and I hope you'll mark your calendar and join me. Everything will be published right here on YouTube. The event will be absolutely free. You don't need to do anything or sign up for anything. You just need to mark your calendar. So if you haven't subscribed yet and hit that notification bell, you definitely want to do that now, because when this event goes live, you want to make sure that if you like participating in live commentary during interviews, you've got that notification bell on so that you can be the first to jump in the live interviews. Thanks so much, everyone. Take great care and bye for now.